Saul looked everywhere, but he couldn't find David. But he was determined to destroy him. Jonathan, risking everything, went searching for David. He hoped to encourage him. Finding him was no easy task. Jonathan assured David, "Don't be afraid. My father won't find you. You will be king over Israel, and I will be second to you." They promised to be loyal to each other. However, this was the last time that they would be together. In time, Saul found out where David was hiding. With 3,000 of his best men, he closed in on David. However, David's spies told him where Saul was camped. So David crept up on him at night with his bold nephew Abishai. All the guards had fallen asleep. David found Saul sleeping soundly in the middle of the camp. Abishai, eager to kill Saul, whispered to David, "Let me please pin him to the earth with a spear. Once will be enough." David said, "No, I would never think of harming Jehovah's anointed king. Instead, let's take his spear and water jug and then get out of here." From the nearby mountaintop, David called out to the chief of Saul's bodyguard, "Why didn't you watch over your lord the king? Someone could have killed him. Look, I have the king's spear and water jug." Then he said to Saul, "I could have killed you, but I didn't. I trust Jehovah to respect my life and protect me from all my enemies." Saul replied, "You will be blessed, David. Without a doubt, you will be the winner." With that, David left, and Saul returned home. The Israelites continued their war with the Philistines, but this time things did not go well. At Mount Gilboa, the Philistines closed in on Saul. They killed 3 of his sons. Among these was Jonathan, David's most trusted friend. Then the archers found Saul. he fell severely wounded. Rather than be executed by his enemies, he fell upon his own sword and killed himself. David, who had been loyal to Jehovah's king, was so heartbroken that he ripped apart his clothing. He and his men began to weep, wail, and fast. He also composed a funeral song. I am deeply distressed. Saul and Jonathan have died together. My brother Jonathan, you are my closest and most trusted friend. Years later, God's promise came true when David, who had trusted in Jehovah, was crowned as king over all Israel. David later built his palace in Jerusalem, which came to be called the City of David. He loved Jehovah's worship so much that he had the Ark of the Covenant brought to Jerusalem. The Ark was a sacred chest covered in gold and used in worship of Jehovah. It had been kept outside the city. Eventually, after checking Jehovah's instructions carefully, the Levite priests carried the covered ark on their shoulders with rods. With music and rejoicing, they brought the ark to a tent in Jerusalem. It was a great and happy day for David and for Israel. Skipping about, David was filled with joy. Jehovah's worship was being given first place. David was happy and secure in his royal palace, but he realized that the Ark of the true God was in a simple tent. David wanted to build a beautiful temple for Jehovah. Would Jehovah allow that? Nathan the prophet was sent by Jehovah to tell David his decision. However, to David's surprise, Nathan told him that as a man of war, he would not build the temple. That privilege would go to a future son. David was clearly disappointed. Jehovah made a new promise to David, namely that the kingship would not be removed from his family. Eventually, one of his descendants would rule forever over all the earth. That one would be the best king the world had ever known. However, sometime later, David entered into perhaps the saddest part of his life. He was a good king, but he also made serious mistakes. He watched Bathsheba, another man's wife, bathing. He desired her, sent for her, and took her to his bed. Then he had Bathsheba's husband killed in battle. Jehovah sent Nathan to David to tell him how badly he had sinned. Because of the kingdom promise, he would not lose his life, but Jehovah would punish him severely. David showed that he was very sorry for what he had done. With tears, he wrote in Psalm 51, "Show me favor, O God, according to your loving kindness. Against you I have sinned, and what is bad in your eyes I have done." Jehovah forgave David for his serious sins. Overall, David proved to be a good and faithful king. His rule brought peace and prosperity to the land of Israel. Toward the end of his life, David reminded his son Solomon, who was to be the next king, of the valuable lessons he had learned in life. Trust in Jehovah even when the challenges seem too great to overcome. Be strong and trust in Jehovah even if you have to wait for God's promises to be fulfilled. Walk in God's ways and admit your mistakes. Never stop serving the true God and trusting in Him. Remember that the everlasting kingdom that Jehovah has promised will come through our family line. God's kingdom promise to David started to come true when Solomon became the next king of Israel. This promise eventually led to the anointing of Jesus Christ as king. Jesus, now ruling from the heavens, is the rightful ruler over all the earth. He will reign over a global paradise. Under Christ's rule, David and Jonathan will be resurrected. They will meet again. If you want to be blessed like David, keep on serving Jehovah faithfully. Then you will receive everlasting life with David and Jonathan in God's new world. You too will be rewarded for your trust in God.